your socks! Hey!
The Lost Art with Andrew Cox podcast, now streaming on all major podcast platforms. A Till Valhalla Project ambassador. Thanks for tuning in to the podcast that's given a voice to our veterans. The Lost Art with Andrew Cox. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Podcast, that podcast giving a voice to our veterans. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we're having a My Veteran Story. But before we get in the episode, are you enjoying the podcast? And make sure you go to the website. That's thelostart.podbean.com. Go check it out. See what we got going on there. There's a couple ways you can help support us in getting our veteran voices out for all to hear. There is a merchandise tab. You can go in there and get you some cool merchandise. You can become a patron. That's every month, one-time donation every month. Or you can do a one-time donation only, and there's a tab for that as well. But we have some great information for veterans. Just scroll down to the bottom and a lot of stuff, especially if you're transitioning out of the military. So go check all that out. Big shout out to Till Valhalla Project, allowing me to be an ambassador for that great organization. They're doing amazing things. If you don't know anything about them, go to their website. That's tillvalhallaproject.com. Check them out. And if there's any way you can help them, please do so.
Ton Tavern, birthplace of the Corps. We as Marines hold this history close to our hearts. Wouldn't it be spectacular if the establishment was born again? The Ton Legacy Foundation, a nonprofit 501c3, is taking the task and is looking to the Marines to once again save the day. Help the Lost Art podcast in raising funds to help get the Ton built once again only 100 yards from the original establishment in Philadelphia. We are looking for Marines to donate $25 representing the upcoming 250th birthday of the Corps. Spread the message and help establish the Ton, a place for Marine brethren to gather and remember our historic beginning. Go to the Lost Art GoFundMe page and donate today. The Ton Legacy Foundation, reestablishing our birthplace.
All right, with that, I have Lance Price, Navy veteran, on today.
Hey.
So how you doing, Lance?
Good. As long as you don't ask me any Navy questions, we're good, man.
Oh, man. Well, this might be a short podcast, and it's kind of what it's about is your service. So.
Well, I can't tell you anything about the Navy, though.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Well, hey, kind of let's start at the beginning. So go back to where you grew up, and then eventually what led you to military service.
Yeah, so I grew up in a small podunk town in Alabama, right on the border of Georgia. Middle-class family, father, grandfather, great-grandfather all served in the military.
Nice.
Was not necessarily my first choice. I was hoping to go to college, but when that fell through, the military ended up being what worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
So many dynamics led me to that point. In high school, I got injured and lost a football scholarship, knowing my family wasn't well off to pay for college. Joining the Marine Corps in 97 was the first choice.
Okay.
Went in the Marine Corps for a very short stint when I blew out my knee.
Okay.
Came home, started, adding up those big bills for college classes, starting pre-med, and stumbled upon a friend of my sister's that was a Navy recruiter.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I can take all this debt out of your life and guarantee you so-and-so in the Navy. I was like, okay. So I'm currently working a 12-hour shift as a cardio tech. I'm working every other weekend on the ambulance, and I'm going to school full-time during the day.
Holy crap.
So I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty fucking burnt out. This sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
So I listened to the guy and went in, and I told them, I was like, look, I'm really passionate about medicine. Can you guarantee me medicine? And they did. They just took me into a program that took me to the ship to be an undez for 15 months before I got the opportunity to go become a corpsman.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that sounds fun, right?
Oh, yeah, it does.
So the program that I went into had an 18-month time that they had to get me into core school. So at the 15-month mark, they got me into core school. But at the time, I guess the core school was filling so quickly that they
Right.
started a program where they would send seamen out to the sea for for up to 18 months to check it out. I got the opportunity to be meritoriously promoted during then. I've been a BM3 and an HM3 at this point.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But the positive part is when you get to your schooling, you are the senior person at that school.
Oh, yeah.
So, being the senior person is beneficial at times.
Very true.
But yeah, and then my journey as a corpsman began after corps school, from striker to line corpsman. Let's see, that would have been 2002.
Okay. Now,
Uh,
how long is the school?
for corpsman school, oh man, you're asking me to go back 24 years, man.
Hey, man,
Uh,
I'm sorry.
13 weeks, I believe.
Okay.
I believe 13 weeks is what the school was. I know that during hours got shortened because it was right at the time that 9/11 happened. I was actually in core
Right.
school when 9/11 happened.
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So that was an experience in itself.
So,
Uh,
if you don't mind, kind of talk
yeah,
me through what was the experience like in your schoolhouse once 9/11 happened? Like, did the, I guess, attitude shift or anything like that?
the op tempo definitely changed dramatically, and
Yeah.
it was basically, let's make sure that we get these corpsmen all of the information that they need to make sure that they can sustain life because we're going to war.
Yeah.
I mean, it changed like a flip of the switch,
Wow.
and all of us there at the school, the majority of us, as soon as you saw it, you see all the TVs come on in the schoolhouse, which
Hmm.
never happened, and they're showing this, and you're like, "Oh, wow. Yeah, things are about to get different real quick."
Oh, yeah.
And they did,
Uh,
and they truly did.
yeah. Very true. Very
But
true.
nothing can stand more prouder than the US did on the 12th. So if we
Hmm.
could make that happen again every day, all day long, that would be
Oh,
beautiful.
yeah. Amen. Preach
So
that, man.
yeah, I hear you.
All right. So
Uh,
you finish your schooling there, and then where did you end up getting orders to?
the same place that I ended up getting injured in the Marine Corps, I ended up being my first duty station, which was the School of Infantry,
Oh, no
in
kidding.
Camp Lejeune. Yeah.
Okay.
So that would have been 2002, and gave me the and no, yeah, that would have been in 2002 when I got there after FMSS
Hmm.
school. Um, and I had the opportunity to be a senior line corpsman for all the brand new Marine boots that were coming in, both
Yeah.
infantry side and um, MCT side. The funny thing was, and me and my buddy that I tour with, Tyler, talk about it all the time. You'll meet Tyler as a guest in the future.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, but we joke about it all. It's just where was I going with that? I'm sorry.
No,
After
you're good.
with the School of Infantry, we joke about it all the time because as a corpsman, I carry about an 80-pound additional pack than the Marines do.
Right.
So he's like, "Your dumbass got broke in the Marines and came back to be with the Marines to carry 80 plus more pounds. What's
Yeah.
wrong with you?" I was like,
Yeah.
I mean,
He's not
are you
wrong in saying it.
crazy? Are you crazy, or do you really love medicine that much? I was like, I'm not really sure at this point.
Maybe a mixture of both, you know?
Yeah. So,
Wow.
shortly after that, I had the opportunity to serve a total of 18 months in Bahrain. I started at the clinic, and during the time there, I got to work with Unit Rib Team 3, which was part of SEAL Team 2.
Okay.
making sure that they were always on the up and up for any missions rolling out and all that kind of stuff. Got the
Hmm.
experience to play with some of their cool toys in the process. So that was a fun year that ended up, well, it started out being a boring year sitting in a clinic, and it
Hmm.
ended up being a great experience and getting to know, the more I got around those special warfare groups and everything, and their first name
Hmm.
basis, no matter what their rank was, and the way that they really gelled as a team and as a family. If everyone could have unity like that, man, America would be so much stronger.
Oh yeah, I
A-
agree with that.
and I took a lot from that in the time that I spent with those guys. I got the opportunity to deploy many a times to Iraq and Afghanistan, thanks to being a corpsman,
Yeah.
through the years of '05 to 17.
Okay. How many
So,
total deployments did you do?
um, total uh, platforms was 7.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So 7. I was with 4th Marine Expeditionary Battalion,
Hmm.
Anti-Terrorism Battalion, First Battalion, 9th Marines, on multiple deployments. Uh, so I mean, as a corpsman on the front line, you see war firsthand.
Yeah.
We did operations in Al Anbar province, Baghdad,
Hmm.
uh, Diyala. Those were in Iraq, a lot of Helmand Province area in
Hmm.
Afghanistan. Um, uh, Left me with a couple of encounters of IEDs along the
Mm.
road.
Yeah.
Um, so 2007, I think it was the first, I guess, taste you would say of an IED blast that I had, and it took a pretty big toll on me. It threw the sergeant and corporal in front of me into me, flinging me back, resulting in a TBI that I would not get diagnosed until later on, because as a corpsman, last thing you're worried about is yourself, so you're taking care of your
Right.
Marines. And then started having memory issues and everything like that, which led to getting
Hmm.
checked out and come to find out having traumatic brain injury from that.
Right.
um, Continue to do what I did with my Marines in Afghanistan, now a district, Marja. Uh, had many Marines under my care, many Marines, and all my Marines made it home. But the sad thing about it is many of them didn't truly make it home, and uh,
Yeah.
more took their own lives when they got home than I saw that I lost in 7 deployments. And another reason why mental health is so near and dear to what we do at SFH, which we'll talk about in a bit, is just because of that.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a huge thing right now. It's been over the years. It's 22 a day. I just saw something just recently that showed that it did go down. But now I don't know what the exact number was. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it did go down, which means that we're moving in the right direction. Hopefully, we can continue to move in that direction.
Absolutely. I agree. Absolutely. Um, and will we get it figured out completely? No. The human brain, there's just way too many functions and what makes us different and what makes us tick. There's no way you're going to figure it all out. But I don't think we were traditionally made to be figured completely out.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Because how boring would that be, honestly, if we figured everyone out?
Yeah, it would be way too easy. You can't have
Right?
life that easy.
So, but I thought I'd seen the most trauma by seeing the things that I did on the battlefield, by seeing the things that I saw Iraq and Afghan people do to their own children and
Mm,
putting their own family in harm's way and everything. I thought I had seen it all until 2013 during a training evolution. We had a gentleman double load a mortar tube and lost 7 Marines
Holy cow.
In a blink of the eye into a mist of nothingness. And that changes someone's perspective on everything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the thing is any don't ever let your guard down, because things are gonna happen in your life, and they're gonna take you for a loop. And don't do what I did and go dig into a hole and stay there and not want to get yourself out, because that's not the answer. Took me a long time to
Yeah.
figure that out. So I'm hoping by doing what I'm doing now, more people will
Mhm.
figure it out earlier than I did.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah. Um, but Of course, that incident amplified the symptoms that I was later diagnosed with PTSD and traumatic brain injury, which anybody that's been around veterans for any amount of time, that combination is very deadly
Yes,
to
absolutely.
many of us, and it really makes our mind play tricks with us. And mine does it on a daily basis, and it's learning to know what's real and know what's okay. That's bullshit. That's not who I am.
Right.
And it's hard. It's so hard. And some days are much more bothersome than others.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Um, so transitioned, I was medically retired, which is another slap in the face, which aggravated all of that PTSD and TBI.
Now, how many years had you been in at this point whenever you're
18
getting
years.
medically? Oh wow, so you were
18
very
years.
close. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, but sitting at a desk increased my anxiety.
Mhm.
If I wasn't out in the field doing something physically and doing what I love to do, that
Mhm.
part of the job, I was miserable. And
Yeah.
they, of course, being my diagnosis and where I was in my career, I was put at a desk job, and that was probably one of the worst things that could have happened. But I
Mm.
was luckily put at a desk job at the right place.
Yeah.
Um, What I mean by that is I went, from being with the Marines the majority of my career to, my last place was the float training group in, California.
Hmm.
What they're responsible for is making sure that the whole fleet is up and ready to deploy at a moment's notice. And,
Right.
we go in and we evaluate the ships, and, we were on the medical side and evaluated it. During the time there, I got the opportunity to, rewrite help rewrite the battle casualties, on
Oh
ship
wow.
that hasn't been rewritten since Vietnam. Um,
Wow.
yeah, so that was really fun, but I worked with all fellow independent duty corpsmen, because at this time I've become an IDC,
Mhm.
um, and I worked with all fellow independent duty corpsmen that saw the struggle I was going through, because they had went through similar struggles. So
Right.
I was at the perfect place during the perfect storm, because I had brothers that had my back, and I forgot about that for a long time once I got
Mhm.
out, until we started, putting together SFH. And that brother, I mean, that camaraderie is always there for anyone, and it just takes one person to
Yeah.
lend an ear. You don't even have to say a word. Lend an ear,
Very
and you don't
true.
have to
Yeah,
say
yeah.
anything. But, yeah,
That's something I always say is pain shares, pain divided. And,
yeah.
and when you share with somebody, they don't have to do anything. It's not like they're going to go out and solve a problem for you. They don't have to. They just need to sit there and listen, because it feels like half that weight gets put onto them, even if they don't do anything.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, transitioning in 2018, um, was very difficult. Struggling with PTSD, TBIs, high feelings of isolation.
Hmm.
I faced a lot of dark days. The VA's answer to those dark days was, "Let's give you a heavier dose. Let's give you a heavier
Mm,
dose." Uh, to the point that I became numb. Um, and I felt like a zombie, and I didn't wanna be here anymore.
yeah.
Um, to the point that it became unbearable that I did end up in a situation where I had the gun in my hand and about took my own life.
Right.
Speaking of those brothers that I've lost along the way. Uh, but the more I look back on it now, thanks to having a great support system, I have a wife that stuck through me through a hell of a lot of shit. We're about to be married 20 years.
Oh, wow.
I have a great family and a great support network of peers that helped me begin to find hope again.
Right.
And I first of all, the first thing was stop making me feel like a zombie. So narcotics had to go. Anything that were
Hmm.
narcotics, they had to go. Just go away. Uh, so the first step, got that out of my life, and
Now, when you did
late.
that, just sorry, hate to interrupt. When you got the
Okay.
narcotics out of your life, was that through the doctors, or did you just on your own? How did you
Uh,
manage that?
um, so pain management through the VA is let me throw pills at you.
Yeah.
So anytime I tell them, well, I'm still in pain, it was let's up the dose or give you something stronger.
Hmm.
Uh, that's not living.
Yeah,
I can't
absolutely.
live. I can't function. I can't. No, this is not for someone that was go go go. You can't just
Hmm.
make them someone that they can't do anything.
Right.
Uh, but but yeah, and it was tough. But I started medicinal marijuana for my pain.
Oh, okay.
and transitioned into it for my pain for due to not having to worry about the addictiveness, due to not having to
Hmm.
worry about the long-term effects. I mean, I was on pills that would last 6 to 8 hours, and I didn't want to do
Oh,
anything.
yeah.
I'm like, why are you doing this to me?
Hmm.
But
Absolutely,
yeah,
man.
so that was the first thing was the medical cannabis. It helped manage some of my symptoms, but of course PTSD, TBI is it's quite its own devil of itself.
Hmm.
Um, I had the opportunity to meet a group that provided a special treatment for PTSD that's called the stellate ganglion block. It is a
Hmm.
shot of anesthetic in the neck where your fight or flight mechanism is located,
Okay.
and it puts that nerve to sleep, and when it wakes back up, it's not as agitated. So
Huh.
you are in more control of your PTSD symptoms than they're in control of you, finally, for once in your life. That's
Yeah.
my experience. Uh, and that's
I've
been a
never
life
even heard
changer.
of that. Yeah, I've never heard
And
of it.
many and most haven't, and that's another thing that I advocate too. I was like, "Look, I can't push it enough, and Big Farm's not gonna push it because all it is a shot of lidocaine in the neck."
No
But
kidding.
it's just a shot of lidocaine in the neck. Same
Wow.
lidocaine that you put for shoulder surgery, same lidocaine you put to get a
Yeah,
toenail removed, same doggone stuff.
that is insane. Well,
Yes,
it's I
sir.
mean it's incredible that somebody figured that out, you know?
It is, and it was, from my understanding, it was a Navy doctor found it out while treating one of his SEALs for neck pain, and the SEAL came back in and asked him, "What have you done for me? I slept through the night for the first time in years."
Oh, wow.
And that's how it started.
Holy cow.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's, wow.
sometimes accidents are the best thing to happen, you know?
Yeah, and that's another thing when me and Tyler Torres, like, look, if you haven't found the answer yet, that doesn't mean stop looking. It's out there. I
Yeah.
promise you, with today's technology, there is an answer for everyone.
Hmm.
Whatever it is that you suffer from, you just got to find it and what works for you because what works for this guy isn't going to work for that guy. It just
Yeah,
doesn't,
very true.
that's not life. The human anatomy is not made that way. We're all different
Yeah.
and we all react differently to things.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. So, but you have any other questions on the SGB or the shot?
Well, now, if anybody out there would like to know
Yeah,
where
that's
that
why I was
is,
asking.
yeah, yeah, go ahead and tell
Um,
me.
for the love of a veteran, is the nonprofit organization that I went through. Um, wonderful person, Christine Waltz, runs that organization, and they provide this shot for veterans for free. They will um, get them set up for a pre-appointment. They'll get them set up for their appointment. If there is not a location close to them, then put them up in a hotel to get the procedure done. Great
Oh, wow.
organization. Yeah, really great organization.
And where are they out of?
PA.
PA. Okay.
Yep, they're out of PA.
That's very interesting. And
Yep,
I'm assuming they have a website or something
they
that
do.
you
It
can
is
go
for
to.
the love of
Yeah.
a veteran.org. Yep,
Okay. For the love of veteran.org.
absolutely. Hmm. So,
I'm writing that down so I can put it in the comments when we're done with the
yeah,
podcast.
no
So,
worries, no worries. Like I said, I got to work with them for about a year. I opened a Florida chapter for about a year.
oh,
Running
wow.
a nonprofit is struggling and debilitating, especially when you don't have the support that you need.
Hmm.
But during that time, we had a great success of helping veterans here in Florida, but they're international, even though they're just located in PA. If you're a veteran that's looking for a shot to take a chance, it's I strong I, as a medical professional, I would say that it is a harmless attempt to try to get your life back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
So, but yeah.
I mean, you might as
From
well, right? If you're struggling,
I
you
mean
might as well. It ain't going to hurt anything.
let's see, there's so many, and I'm not knocking any of them. There's so many things out there where you go out and you try peyote. There's things out there where you
Hmm.
go out and you yell all of your anger into a hole.
Hmm.
Whatever it is, if it works, go do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's allowing you to live again instead of just getting through, do it.
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
That's a good
and
point.
as long as you're not hurting anyone else, of course.
Yeah.
Please let me make sure I put that out there.
Oh, that was good. That was good.
Well, Lance said good. No, 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 he didn't.
Oh, man.
Not what he
That's
said.
funny.
So, so Tyler and I got out. Like I said, lived back against the wall for the first couple of years. Got the SGB shot. Started feeling more alive
Hmm.
and realizing that my story can help others with theirs. Uh,
Hmm.
Met my now closest friend, Tyler Southern, and we transformed our pain into purpose, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
We created not only a clothing line, but a community that celebrates your survival and strength, no matter what it is that you've been through. No matter if
Hmm.
you're a veteran, no matter if you've made it through homelessness and you finally got that first house, you kick cancer's ass. Any of those, anytime that any struggles and triumphs that you went through and you hopped over or you need help hopping over. That's what we made Still Fucking Here for, because as long as
Yeah.
we're still fucking here, we can still help.
Yeah, absolutely. And that
So
kind of talk a little bit about the organization real quick, if you don't mind.
absolutely. WeAreSFH.com is where we can be located. Uh, we have been given the opportunity to make some great inspirational shirts, and along the way inspire many. Myself and Tyler Southern go out and do speaking engagements and share our story, to help others that are in the fight, whether they be veterans or not. um, we also do what's called road shows, where throughout the year we go to different locations, set up our shirts, say hello. If you want us to be masters of ceremony, we can help out with that, and just have a good time and just share love and share our story so that others can realize you're not alone. And that's the biggest
Yeah.
impact is people think that they're alone. There's nobody alone. There is someone just like you out there, I promise. But if they're not
Yeah.
like you, they can at least correlate with you and help you find that light or find that glimmer. Sometimes you just need a glimmer and then the light
Mhm.
turns on. So it just,
Yeah.
and that's what it's all about. I I started from a small town. I'm a small town boy with leg braces. My guys mess with me all the time, from being from Alabama,
Yeah.
um, and wearing leg braces. The Forrest Gump jokes never
Oh,
stop.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But but I, rebuilding a life after the military isn't the easiest thing either,
Oh, yeah.
especially after combat.
Mhm.
But, and that's another thing with me. Tyler didn't have the opportunity to serve as long as I did, but with myself is knowing that, hey, it's okay that you're struggling because you've done the same thing for the past 20 plus years, buddy. Give yourself a
Yeah.
break.
Yeah,
And a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
people, they don't. Well, I had all of these people underneath me and all this
Mhm.
responsibility, and now I have, what do I have? And
Yeah.
it's hard for a lot of people, but you gotta find that purpose, and there is a purpose out there for all of us. If
Yeah,
not, you wouldn't still
absolutely.
be here. If not, you wouldn't still be here.
Yeah, yeah. I
Um,
I struggle. I mean, I still struggle, I guess, a little bit with it. But if it wasn't for this podcast, I would have really struggled hard, I think. But I started doing the podcast, and that kind of gave me a sense of purpose. So I always say, find a sense of purpose, whatever it is.
Absolutely.
Find whatever your purpose is, and do it.
Yeah, I mean, you can collect pennies if you want to. I mean, whatever it is. Find something that means something to you. I mean, it doesn't
Yeah,
have to mean something to anyone else, but it has meaning in your heart. So,
yeah,
yeah.
that's
Speaking
good.
of, and I mean, speaking of how you mentioned the podcast helped you, we had the opportunity to invest in our own podcast equipment and everything
Hmm.
to start our own podcast through SFH, currently called SFH Presents the One and the Third podcast. And,
Hmm.
uh, and with the One and the Third podcast, I have Tyler, which you'll find never stops smiling or laughing or giggling. Triple amputee, but you wouldn't know it by the smile on his face that never stops. Uh, and then the host is a good friend of ours that suffers with dark depression. He's a
Hmm.
musician, and his name is Zach Polk. So
Okay.
the chemistry between the negative and positive is great, and then we bring others that have went through struggles in their lives and have found a purpose on the other side to share that purpose, because you don't
Right.
know when that one person sharing their purpose becomes another person's purpose.
Oh, yeah.
So the more you share, the better off we are. And
Yeah.
he has really came out of his shell since doing this podcast. January will be 1 year doing the podcast, and he is just changed leaps and bounds. You can tell just watching the podcast itself. His thought of humanity, I think, was lost there a while, and the podcast
Mm,
helped him.
very
So
nice.
there is some good humans out there.
Hmm.
We just have to look a little harder sometimes.
Yeah,
But that's
sometimes you got to look in the right place sometimes. So,
absolutely, and that's
yeah,
another thing that people. Well, is things going the right way? No, not really. Well, are you going the right way?
yeah, yeah. It's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
So
man.
how often do you do the podcast? Is that once a week, a couple times a week? What are you doing?
The podcast is every other week.
Okay.
They had started doing it weekly, but found that the viewing decreased when they started doing it weekly,
Yeah.
and we're gonna change the name because it's such a long name.
Hmm. Yeah.
And now everybody knows that the SFH present, so we can take that
Hmm.
off of there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We're hoping it's gonna be just one podcast,
Okay.
because our goal is to change just one life a day. Um,
Yeah.
by helping others and doing what we do by sharing our story. And so our goal is to hopefully change the podcast name to Just One Podcast coming of the new year.
Nice. Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Thanks. Sweet,
Wow.
man.
Man, you guys are
So
doing all kinds of good stuff.
hey,
I'm
we're
impressed.
trying. I mean, if you're not out doing it, then don't complain about it not being done.
Oh, there you go, man. Yeah.
And I mean, we're just like any other human. We struggle,
Mm-hmm.
but we all struggle.
Mm.
That's what I think everyone's got to realize. Okay, you're struggling. Well, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
Hey, how about we bring that struggle and make changes and see if we can work through it together with a smile on our face. So,
Yeah.
because I'll tell you right
Man.
now, my buddy Tyler, he struggles, but damn if he doesn't laugh through the shows. So, and I think we all do, but and I mean, and people think as veterans we're harsh because of our comedy and all that kind of stuff. But dude, when you've seen what we've seen, it's not really that
Yeah.
harsh to us. I'm sorry that your skin's a little thinner than mine, but it's not my fault.
Yeah. Well, veterans do thrive on dark humor. So, there is
Yeah.
that.
Well, dark times lean toward dark humor. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
facts.
Yeah. Very true. Yeah,
So,
for sure.
but yeah, it, so, and there's so many opportunities that we had. We got to work with the Manion Foundation through one of their 5Ks. We work with the
Nice.
Reverend Warriors every year
Mm-hmm.
to do stuff with them. We work with a group called Rock to Stop Suicide, which is a couple of rock bands that do a suicide awareness thing every year.
Oh, wow.
We always try to give back for, of course, Toys for Tots,
Yeah.
food, and we are a t-shirt brand with a giving problem, I
Mm.
guess you would say, because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, 50% of everything that you buy off of our website goes back to someone or an organization in need
Mm-hmm.
that needs it more than we do.
Yeah.
The other 50% goes right back into the business so that we can send you shirts.
Well, you gotta keep it going. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, the people that you meet along the way is just awesome.
Yeah.
And the fact that those times that you see somebody's wheels turning that,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, wow, I never looked at it that way." See, that's
Right.
why you need to talk to people because a new perspective could be all you need to change your whole
Mm-hmm.
fucking life.
Yeah. Very true. Yeah.
Your whole
And you
life.
and you never know where that's going to come from. If you're willing to talk to people, it can be from the person you least expect. And it could be that life-changing moment for you. But you got to open up and you got to talk.
Absolutely. The coolest thing is when you open the door for somebody, and you tell them good morning, and you see that frown turn into this big ass
Mm.
smile, and you're like, "Oh, they really needed that more than I did." But hey,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
glad I was able to do it. That was awesome.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So,
Man,
it needs to be more of that.
agreed. Yeah, 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 for
But yeah,
sure.
uh,
Wow. Well,
that's
and now
that's
you
us.
go ahead, go ahead.
I said that's us in a nutshell. Brian is exterminator by day, and we are SFH by night, and he uh, keeps us straight because Tyler and I can kind of go off the rails sometimes. But and he's the token civilian, as he says, because he's the non-veteran out of the three of us.
Yeah.
And the three of us are at most events. And we have Kelly, which is our newest member of We Are SFH. She is a child psychologist, so works
Oh
perfectly to
wow.
take care of me and Ty. Um, and
That was good.
to round up our whole team, we have our financial guy, which is Jason Sealand. So there's five
Very
of us
nice.
that makes all of this happen. We
Yeah.
got given the greatest gift that we've been given thus far in our journey. just a few months ago, right before Thanksgiving, a group pulled up with a trailer with our SFH logo on it and everything, and because
Very nice.
they had heard the back of my vehicle was getting too small for the amount of shirts that we have to carry to, and so now we have a trailer. And I mean,
Very cool.
it's, I mean, it's that give and take, and it's that wonderful community that we strive to build, that's
Hmm.
it's happening, and it's fun, and we're loving it, and we're loving to see the smiles on people's faces.
Yeah, man, that's really cool. I love what you guys are doing. That's great.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
Dang.
it.
Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on and sharing everything with us, man. Is there, I always ask everybody at the end of a podcast, I say, do you have words of wisdom, or anything else that you want to share that maybe we haven't covered? So I
Absolutely.
want to give you that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, words of wisdom, saved rounds. I guess the biggest thing, anytime that I'm brought on a podcast or we're brought on a podcast, we like to tell each other there's a reason that we were brought on this podcast, and hopefully it was to touch someone and help someone along the way, so that someone can help one along the way as well. Because that's how we're going to get better as a nation and as a community, is by helping one another.
Absolutely. Damn, that was good.
Thanks, bro.
Well, Lance, it was really nice meeting you, and I'm super excited. We're gonna have you back on to talk specifically about the organization as well, here in the near future. So that'll be a good conversation. I think we'll have a good time with that.
That's right. You'll get the
But
full roundup. Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, we'll get the
You'll be the
whole
trio.
gamut. It'll be yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good. But yeah, thanks for doing this. Thanks for telling your story. Very impactful for me. I know that there's a lot of people out there that are going to get a lot out of it. So thanks again.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Andrew. Thanks for reaching out. And whoever mentioned us to you, thank you for them. And if you have anything else that you think that we may need to or should be a part of, please reach out to us anytime, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. And
All right.
just like Lance was talking about earlier, I mean, the struggle with veteran suicide is real. But please reach out if you're out there struggling. The VA does have great resources. You can dial 988, press option 1. You can always text 838. I'm sorry, 838-255, or you can go to veteranscrisisline.net and click on the chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life lost is one too many. I care about you. I know Lance cares about you. The whole veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. And if you're out there, you're not struggling, make sure you reach out to the buddies you serve with. Ask them how they're doing. And if they need that helping hand, please give them that helping hand. All right, Lance, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on. To all the listeners out there, stay motivated. Change your socks.
Raw.
Now,